Hi, I'm Nicole Alvarez with KROQ, and I'm about to talk to Mr. Eddie Vedder. So let's get into dark matter, shall we?
Okay, Nicole.
Let's do this. Okay, so I've listened to it now about 17 times, and you've got to know, I know your music inside and out, all of it. And I think the evolution of who you are as musicians and human beings is very evident on dark matter. Were you surprised in any way by what came out of you during the experience of making dark matter?
That's a good question. Was I surprised? You know what? One thing I think I was a little surprised at just how good it sounded, how good the records, how good this guy Andrew Watt made our band sound, and the performances he was getting out of us. And it was moving very quickly. You know, it was recorded and written really quickly, and with the end of almost every night being just about a completed piece of music, if not very, very close, and it just kept the momentum going, which, you know, we just hadn't recorded like that in a while. And, you know, we've recorded all different ways in over these many years. But I think the biggest surprise was the, I guess, the power that was coming out of the speakers. You know, it held up at loud volume. And then the lyrics, I think, you know, you're writing lyrics to not keep up with the music, but to be part of the fabric, you know, to mesh, or you know, if there's a song with a tempo, it ended up being a song called Running. You know, those lyrics are part and parcel with the tempo and performances of that song, you know. So it's a song about, you know, it's a frenetic lyric to go with a frenetic song. So those are the things that you, I guess, are, you know, I guess you're just surprised that you finish it.
When I saw you guys at the Troubadour, I was very lucky to be there. And that's my second listening party that I've been to. Gigaton was my first one. And I love that you always have tequila. So thank you for that. But what I saw when I watched you guys experience the music with us is you had the giddies. You were jumping up and down with the rest of your bandmates. And it was almost like you guys were 16 years old in the mosh pit watching your favorite band. And I imagine Andrew Watt has an insane amount of energy. I imagine that's what you're talking about when you say what he brought out of you, that kind of giddiness.
Well, yeah, almost to the level of embarrassment. I mean, it's really, it's pretty over the top, but I'm telling you, it's so pure. He wouldn't mind me saying this. It comes from such a pure place that it's just truly undeniable. And I'm sure the Stones felt the same way working with him. And, you know, he's just really focused. He also has this strange kind of ADD ability to recall. You know, it would be a detriment to maybe some people that maybe had a little bit more of a normal occupation, but you know, he can recall things. He can remember a take that, you know, Mike McCready solo from 10 days ago, and he can remember that it was take number 3. You know, he just really, you know, so he found the perfect occupation to put this this kind of savant-like connection to music into, you know, he's using his powers for good. It's really, it's pretty stunning, and it bodes well for, you know, like I said, keeping things moving, you know.
Yeah, the momentum.
Momentum is huge, and it's also turns into positivity and confidence and flexibility, you know, and then it's the ability to, you know, create an atmosphere where you feel like you can experiment or try something, or or shoot, work harder to make it better. You know, you're not like, okay, I think that's good enough. So there was no kind of good enough. It had to rise to the level of, you know, the guitar had to match the level of performance of Matt Cameron on the drums. The vocals had to match the intensity of the guitar. So it was just kind of everybody keep stepping up to reach kind of a peak or pinnacle of what is possible. You're always trying to do your best, but it turns out you could do even better.
So I'm glad that you said that, because listening to the album over and over again, what I got from it is I hear the best of the best. So I mean by that, all of you threw down your aces. And I hear all of you. I hear Matt, I hear Stone, I hear Mike, I hear Jeff. I hear all of you loud and clear, but then I also hear some new tricks. And I imagine that's also some of the stuff that Andrew brought out.
Well, there's also something, we work with a guy, when we work with Andrew, when I did this kind of solo record thing, called Earthling, and you know, something in the mixes, you know, like what you could say about the mixes, like everything's louder than everything else.
Yeah, I have a shirt that says that.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I think it's Lemmy's. It's a Motorhead lyric.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, yeah, I was just applying it to the mixes, meaning if you want to focus on what the bass is doing, it's more just attenuating your ear to bass, and all of a sudden that's the loudest thing. And then you say, well, what's the kick drum doing? And then that becomes the loudest thing. Just by directing your brain, you know, moving your ears like as if you were a horse, catching up, you know, just tuning your radar, whatever you want to tune it into. Could be a background vocal or a guitar melody that you think is kind of in the back, but when you focus in on it, it's right there. So that's a trick, you know, where every instrument kind of has its own lane. You know, and I don't know where he maybe picked up on that, even through some of the more pop music that he did, but it's it certainly can apply here. Like I say, he kind of uses his powers for good, and yeah, we were very fortunate.
I'm very impressed with this whole process. What he did with the Stones record was incredible, and what I've heard when I first listened to the record, to Dark Matter, each song has its very own unique identity, like its own universe. But he masterfully, seamlessly made it very cohesive. It's an experience. It's a whole journey from beginning to end. Like Running was the one that stood out for me because it was punk rocky, but it doesn't. You know how typically you have an album and you throw in something that sounds punk rock when the rest of it might not. He just made that all made sense. I don't know how to explain it better, but he married sound in a way that I've never heard before. You guys all did, actually, because I guess you had something to do with it now, didn't you?
Well, you know what's cool about it, and if I could say it without sounding too self-aggrandizing, but you know, a lot of records, you know, there's a couple, 3 songs that are maybe you put in the more difficult listening category, or something that, or it's a good song, it's there, but it could be an acquired taste. Yeah. It could be a tempo or timing thing, or you know, but and so when you do a set list, a running order to the record, which basically is a set list, right? You know, you try to kind of figure out where could these songs live. You know, can you put them, you know, after this one that you think this one's really good, so then maybe we can test the listener and we'll sneak that one in there, and the momentum from the one song will carry into the other, and you kind of work on this little, see if you can play a trick to get these ones that are a little less accessible, let's say.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But with this record, it was the only trick to sequencing was kind of telling the story, if there is one. But it was really, it was just quality piece of music after quality piece of music. So that was an enjoyable process. You know, it it was cool to just think that, even towards the end of side 2, you're still going pretty hard.
Yeah.
Still got some rockin' songs with good momentum and up tempo. There was no lack of good material. So that doesn't always happen.
When I was a teenager, I watched back in the day when MTV had rockumentaries. Pearl Jam had its rockumentary, and you had said something. It was the first time I heard this. I've heard it a lot since, but a lot of artists don't like to give the meaning to songs because that kind of robs us of what we need it to mean to us, right? For survival, for whatever reason. So I'm going to try and sidestep without asking you to tell me the meaning of these songs, but is there a song that's most personal to you on the record?
I think the whole record feels personal. I'd say there's a song called Something Special on there, it's really kind of a parenting, mom and dad seeing their kids grow up and leaving the nest and either going to college or going to high school and, hoping you did a good enough job to know that they're going to be okay out in the world, because the world's going to give them, that's where they're going to learn their lessons.
Yes.
And no matter, love and support that you raise them with and discipline, that, once the world's there's going to be a bunch of lessons out there. The world's going to hand them difficulties, hopefully not on a daily basis, but you hope that you've given them the tools to navigate through the good times and the pitfalls. And so I could say that was a little bit more unabashedly personal.
Okay. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I will accept that, Eddie. I will accept that. I want to talk about the live shows because I think it's such a big part of the Pearl Jam world. I myself have been to 112 of them, and I might have lost count of a few. And I like to go to the big ones. I went to the Wrigley ones during the storm. I try to go to anything in Chicago. I've been to MSG. I've been to some in Europe, and it's very special what happens in those rooms. I can't imagine how excited you are to introduce Dark Matter into those rooms. Is this something that you feel extra excited about?
Yeah, we're. If you would ask me 4 days ago, I would have been maybe a little more nervous. But we've just had our first couple days of practice, and I think everybody worked hard on the songs coming in to practice as opposed to learning them once we get here. So now, tell you, Miss Alvarez,
yes.
And now we excited. Now I can feel the because it felt a little daunting. I as we said, the sound of the record is galvanized and has a lot of strength to it. So could we do that live? Now it that question has been answered in the last couple of days. So now I'm getting excited. I
mean, I could have answered that for you, Eddie. Yeah, I know. I've seen you do it live. I've been to 112 of these things. I've never spent more money on anything the way that I spent money on going to Pearl Jam shows. And it's worth every penny. I'm going to ask you a few fun questions. My favorite part of a Pearl Jam show, for example, it doesn't happen all the time, but whenever you say Keely hit the lights, I don't know why I love that. I don't even know who Keely is, but I assume Keely hits the lights. I love Keely. But there's little moments like that us Pearl Jam fans adore. Do you have a moment that you love? Is it watching the crowd sing back to you? Is it walking on stage for the first time? Is it watching Mike shred it? Do you have a moment that means something to you?
Well, I think every show. I think that's why I wouldn't say, I get nerves before the show or nervous. But I do. I kind of there's a different kind of focus that happens, and it's kind of being ready to find that or to be conscious of what might happen tonight that didn't happen ever before. Being aware of, it's just being on point, I guess.
Yeah.
And it could be a reaction from the crowd. It could be locking eyes with somebody, and you can tell they're going through something. That again, going back to your comment about people's interpretations of the songs and what it means to them, or where they were, when they heard the song, or who they were with when they heard the song. Their first boyfriend, their now husband, their father who's passed away. You can tell, when something's going on. And I have a pretty good vantage point, and I can kind of find those things, and that inspires me, and then really locking in with the group. And another great pleasure of being in this band is standing right in front of Matt Cameron, who's just there's a lot of great drummers out there these days. It's a particularly healthy time for to be listening to if you appreciate drummers and what drummers can do behind the kit. But
he's a powerhouse.
Matt, he's just so extraordinary. He's like either a fast race car. There's horsepower there. There's literally it feels like you're riding a racehorse, and it's wild, and it's always different. It's almost like he never plays the same thing once. He's really he's a key to the band being if you were to be a great band, you would need a great, and we certainly have that. And the way he locks in with Jeff, and then the way Jeff and Stone lock in, and then it allows Mike a canvas to do his, it could be very technical and perfect, and it could be Jackson Pollock as well. Mike is his own kind of, I was going to say wunderkind.
Yeah.
He's another incredible specimen of what a musician can do when they're infected.
Yeah, I've seen it happen. I've seen him do things like put his guitar behind his head and his eyes closed and spin around. I've never seen anything like it, honestly. It's quite impressive. Every single member of your band, honestly, has something so special that they bring to the table. Where would you say, because I know that you love music very much and you're also a musician, where would you say is the best place to listen to new music? Like if somebody were to take Dark Matter out for a spin, I think it's in my car, always with the windows down, is where I like to hear new music. But where would you say is the best spot for new music?
I would say in your car with the windows closed, or and whether you're moving or just still. I mean, I do it in the driveway. I think my neighbors heard this record. But also, being out on the road is with the windows open, that's pretty good too. And also, I got to say, some of my best listening experiences have been with, Walkmans on a hike at the top of a mountain. There's something about the outdoors,
yeah.
Or on the shoreline.
The ocean. Yeah, somewhere by the ocean.
Yeah, something about, it's like nature has a hand in it. And I think probably that because lyrically nature is in there. I think nature and the ocean and waves and whether it's a calm sunset or a stormy, I think nature informs a lot of the lyrics as well. So when you hear it in that kind of outdoor environment, it seems like there's a connection there, and things like Into the Wild, for sure. That's just an outdoor record. 100%.
It's one of my favorite. If you could go back as you are now, this version of yourself, and tell younger Eddie one thing that might be useful as you travel through, what would you go back and tell younger you?
I might have to think about that, or maybe I can take it less seriously and just come up with an answer.
I could tell you what others have said. They They
Give
all
me an
match.
example.
It was over the weekend. I was at Coachella, and I forgot if it was the Deftones or if it was the Gorillaz. Not the Gorillaz, Blur. One of them said that he'd go back and tell himself just not to be a dick. And then most everybody else has answered that I would tell myself it would all be all right, to just enjoy. Be here and enjoy. It's all going to be all right.
Yeah, the moment is important, but I feel like I've always lived that way, and I don't know if it's because of upbringing or stresses that I went through young that I or people that I've lost, and all different areas of my life. I just feel like I've always had that kind of carpe diem, seize the day. I think that's, Porch was about that. That's on the first record. It's present tense. It's all in there. It's always been in there. But, I think, I don't know if I have, I think it's, I want to say like, be careful.
That's actually great advice. But what does that mean?
Yeah. But at the same time, I think it's like, push yourself and go wild as well. I think that's where all that climbing of the rafters back in the day was. It was seizing the moment and it was going wild. So for me to say, be careful, that's actually ridiculous.
It is. And I love that about you. Before I wrap it up and let you go, and again, thank you for your time. I'm going to preface this by saying that in the same way that I've read and heard you talk about like The Who and Pete Townsend and what they meant to you, that's what you and your band have meant to me. So you've always been like a compass or a lighthouse, and I've just always wanted to say thank you.
Well, Nicole, give me some chills here on my arms.
I named my daughter after you, actually. She was a little bit of a miracle baby, and I needed to name her to kind of make it real. And I was like, well, obviously I'm going to name her something after Pearl Jam, but it wasn't going to be Jeremy. So I named her Evie. So she's Evie. Yeah. I borrowed your initials. Olivia's actually met her. She's a super kid. She loves rock and roll, so I'm doing something right.
How old is she now?
She's 7 going on 18.
Oh, let me just say, you've said all these really kind things about the group, and it's just very, it's humbling, and we're just kind of doing what we do and trying our best, and to hear that it's had impact it's really meaningful, and that's something you could have never imagined. And we're on behalf of the group, we're all very, very grateful, and for you to put that into words and share it, I it's very appreciative.
Well, timing is everything, and I think that it's absolutely the right time for this record. I can't wait for everybody to get it, because I think that the collected wisdom that you've all acquired throughout the years, it's all over this album, and it sounds like you had one hell of a time. So congratulations on album number 12. I'm very excited for everybody to finally get it.
Okay, well, you and everybody else enjoy the shows. We just, I can say this as of today, we play in Los Angeles on the 21st and 22nd at the Forum in May, but the other one, Ohana in California, so it's that festival that we've done.
You don't think I've been to all of them, Eddie Vedder? Come on now.
Well, this year it's September 27th, 29th, and as of today, I can tell you the headliners on the 27th and 29th are going to be our group.
Hell yes.
So Pearl Jam and on the Seashore is going to be something to look forward to for us, certainly. And then in the middle on the 28th, we have Neil Young and Crazy Horse. So,
oh my goodness.
They'll be good. The whole rosters are very impressive and inspiring and exciting. But yeah, it should be good. And I think those will be. Yeah. Oh, I think we go to Australia after that. But
I don't know. I'm going to see you in Spain at couple. I'm going to like Mad Cool, and then I think I'm seeing you in Barcelona, and then Chicago. Again, I'm not kidding. I'm like a big non-psycho fan, although I'm teetering on that word a little bit. You're probably like, who is she? But I really, your music to me is source, and it's like shamanic. And again, I'm not going to keep gushing, but I love you guys to death. So thank you. And with that, we'll see you on the road.
Okay, well, then my advice would be careful.
Okay. You too, Eddie. You too.